How the government could cause the next depression. And for this, we need the PVC type of knowledge. The authentic, original PVC type of knowledge. If you don't have the green duct tape, it's a fraud. It's probably from Russia, China. All right, so I was reading this article because I find this fascinating about not just the Great Depression, about the history of tariffs and what tariffs have done. And it's just not inflationary. It's just not. I don't know what else to say this. So we have this tariff called the, right here, if I can find, this is such a good article, Agricultural Depression, 1934. I'm going to show you here, hold tight for just a second. The Fordney-McCumber Tariff Act of 1922 happened. And why did that happen? Because Minnesota farmers enjoyed a period of, this is just across the country, this is just in Minnesota specifically, because this is what this article is from, state of Minnesota. Minnesota farmers enjoyed a period of prosperity in the 1910s that continued throughout World War I. Encouraged by the U.S. government to increase production, they took out loans to buy more land and invest in new equipment. As war-torn countries recovered, the demand for U.S. exports fell and land values and prices for commodities dropped. Farmers found it hard to repay their loans, a situation worsened by the Great Depression and the drought years that followed. So I just want to, first and foremost, we're going to show you what with that the tariff that happened in 1921. We're going to go over here to Daniel Culbert's bucket strategy thing. And so 1922 is when the Fordham, what the hell it was, tariff act was called the, let me show you. The Fordney-McCumber Tariff Act. I'm not going to get into it here. It was pretty encompassing, actually. In fact, I think we got, they'll tell us here in just a second. And actually, I think I got it right here. Right here. It raised tariffs above the level set in 1913. It authorized the president to raise or lower a given tariff by 50%. One unintended consequence was tariff has made it more difficult for European nations to export to the United States, and so to earn dollars to service their war debts. But anyway, I just want to show you. So 1922, 1923, 1.8% inflation, 0% inflation, 24, 25, 2.3. No one's going to say these are hugely inflationary. 1.1, then negative, 0, negative. Look at that. And here's the Smoot-Hawley's pass in the latter part of 1930. I can't stress this enough. The government causes depressions with things like this right here. But what caused that to even get in play? Well, basically, I'm going to show you here. This is, I mean, it's just freaking nuts, man, how bad it, just how government really can screw us up. The onset of World War I in 1914 sparked an economic boom for farmers in the United States. Demand for agricultural products soared as the war-ravaged countries of Europe could no longer produce needed supplies. This created a shortage. And what does shortages do? Anyone want to guess? Shortages. Why does socialism produce inflation? Because it creates shortages. And what does shortages do? It drives up prices. It drives up prices, in this case specifically for farm commodities. In Minnesota, the season average per, well, let me show you right here. Minnesota, the season average per bushel of corn was 59 cents in 1914. Wheat was $1.05. Hogs is a bushel. Hogs is $7.40. I can't remember if it's a pound or I can't remember. Whatever. Let's just say a pound. I forgot. Actually, it'll tell us right here. Hold on a second. It'll tell us exactly right here for hogs per 100 pounds. So hogs, the price of hogs was per $7.40 per 100 pounds. By 1919, the price of wheat went up to $2.34 a bushel, more than doubling. The price of corn went up to 1.3 a bushel, more than doubling. The price of hogs went up to 16.20, more than doubling. So what did the government do? Well, in 1916, the government said, hey, we got all this. We need more. We need more supply. So we're going to encourage you, farmers, but the Federal Family Farm Loan Act, which encourages farmers to increase production, right? Because we have all this need. The war is going on. Europe isn't producing anything. We got our own people to feed as well as Europe. We can make a bunch of money. So they put this thing into place to encourage farmers to increase production by buying up farmland. So all these farmers ended up taking about $254 million in debt to buy this farmland. All right, so yeah, we'll do it. Farm cash income was $438 million in 1918. All right, and so what happened now? So now the farmers are buying up this stuff, And then what happens? The prices decline. It went from 234 to 165, 130 to 47, 1620 to 1290. Look at that. The price of real estate went from $46 an acre to $109 an acre by 1920. In 10 years, it was a third of that, at $35 an acre. In 1932, the price of a bushel of corn was 44 cents. The price of a bushel of wheat was 44 cents. The price of a bushel of corn was 28 cents. The price of 100 pounds of hogs was $3.20. It had fallen from 234 to 44 cents for wheat, 130 to 28 cents for corn, 1620 to 320 for a pound, 100 pounds of hogs. Real estate went from $109 an acre to $35 an acre, which was lower than what it was in 1910. Watch what happens to cash here. Cash went from $438 million to $229 million to $155 million. And in 1920, just 4 years after the Federal Farm Loan Act, the government said we need less production. Why? Because they saw what was going on in Europe. So let me show you here. It's crazy. Yeah, to meet the demand, the U.S. government encouraged farmers to produce more. In 1916, Congress passed the Federal Farm Loan Act, creating 12 federal land banks to provide long-term loans for farm expansions. Believing the boom would continue, many farmers took advantage of this and offered other loan opportunities to invest in the land, tractors, and other new labor-saving devices. By 1920, more than half of the Minnesota farms had over $254 million in debt, which amounts to, I think I had written down here, $3,697 of debt per family that had a loan. Isn't that crazy? And with all that cheap money circling around, what happened? It caused massive inflation. You see, the price of an acre is $109, which is more than double from what it was 10 years ago. But check this out. At the end of the war, relief efforts kept the demand for U.S. agriculture products high. Gross exports of all grain were 525 million bushels. During that period, the U.S. shipped billions of pounds of pork, beef, and the whole nine. And farmers continued to produce. They continued to produce, expecting demand and prices to remain stable. As Europe began to recover from the war, though, the U.S. farming economy began a long downward trend that reached a crisis during the Great Depression. Farmers' gross cash income fell from $438 million in 1918 to $155 million in 1932. Heavy debts to pay and improved farming practices and equipment, making it easier to work more land, farmers found it hard to produce production. The resulting large surpluses caused farm prices to plummet. As surpluses mounted, the federal government promoted lowering production. It also created programs designed to help stabilize prices, but of course, it didn't at all. It didn't work at all and went the exact opposite. Crazy. Foreign trade restrictions, such as the Ford v. McCumber Tariff Act, imposed high taxes on imports in an attempt to protect U.S. farmers. International trading partners reacted by increasing import fees on American goods. U.S. export of farm products declined, surpluses grew, and prices continued to drop. With less demand for land, real estate values plunged to an average of $35 an acre by the late 1930s. Farmers struggled to repay loans for lands that had lost value. Rising property taxes. The average property tax per acre was 46 cents in Minnesota in 1913 and went to $1.45 in 1930. And what caused all that is the government with their cheap money. What does that remind you of? Does that remind you of something? I hope so. Reminds you of what happened in real estate, single family houses, condos, and whatnot. And then in the basic from the CRA, Community Reinvestment Act, all the way up until 2006 and 7. It's the exact same thing. This is what causes depressions, a massive amount of debt, because you're borrowing when the prices are sky high. Speculators right now, I don't know what the future holds. No one knew right then what it was going to be like. But we look at what happened in Japan, the same exact thing. They were borrowing when the prices were sky flipping high. When the prices shrank, guess what happened? There was no one there to buy. There's no buyer, no one there to buy. So the prices kept dropping and dropping and dropping. And this is exactly what happened in the United States too with the mark-to-market accounting. Exact same thing. You have no buyers. All you have is sellers. And they got to keep selling and selling. They got to keep lowering the price, lowering the price. That's what causes the Great Depression. This insane desire to lend, to get short-term profits, to increase production because we can make more money and deliver more taxes to the federal government. It's disgusting, dude. That's why you pay off your debt. And I talked about my book, Days on the Family Farm, that my economics professor at George Mason, Carrie Myers, had written. And there's a couple, I can't remember the name, Amos, I forgot the name actually, Homer, and I forgot the lady's name. And the woman, Miss Homer, Homer's wife, she just kept a daily diary. It's freaking fascinating reading. And she talks about all the people going bankrupt and stuff, all the farmers, because they lived on a family farm. But they didn't go bankrupt because they had no debt. And this is what causes this stuff. The massive amount of debt and why you need cash. I was talking to these people today, and they're freaking crushing. And the guy's literally my age, almost born to my day, actually. His wife's 6 years younger than him. And she wants to be more aggressive because she wants to catch up to her husband because her husband's got 6 years on her. But she's got some powder. She got some dry powder, and we'll call her Amy. I said, Amy, you might want to keep that powder dry just in case we have a decline. Anything that's fueled by debt is speculative growth. I'm not saying it happened in the equity market. I don't know, but it's still pricey relative to historical norms. I'm not going to lie to you. Anything that's fueled by debt has a chance to come down significantly, just like what happened to farmers' income, $438 in 1918 to $155 in 1932. The prices of these things, zhoops. I mean, this is insane. People were buying right here based on the Federal Farm Home Loan Act from, more than double from what it was 10 years previously, and then 10 years later it's at a third. Anytime you have this kind of massive speculation because of government incentives, man, you should go the other direction. Now, again, if you would have bought on margin in 1982, you're freaking a million. You're not watching my videos, I'll tell you that right now. But what was the prices back then? Were the prices high or low to begin with? They were low. The stock price I'm talking about, they were low. What was not low right here was this. Now, that's a problem that we have. Just because it turns out that it was high, we did not know that then. That's the problem. We did not know that. So these farmers who took on that debt to buy property under the idea that they're going to expand because there's a perpetual demand for their product, no one knew until it's too late. The one thing that did not happen, though, is you didn't have debt, you didn't go bankrupt. And it's all created by the credit craze, essentially. The government being loose on the financing. It's no different than what happened in real estate, speculative bubbles all the time. It's just, that's how governments create bankruptcies, depressions, and whatnot. I just want to, again, point out, the terrorists did not do it. In this case, it was speculative debt, without question. The terrorists don't create inflation. I think there is something to be said, terrorists didn't create deflation for sure, but until people start saying that, I don't want to hear how terrorists are inflationary. Trump's going to make us all inflationary. So my concern, frankly, you throw some tariffs on there from Trump, and then you throw some mass speculating, lower interest rates, because Trump's going to use his bully pulpit to tell Jerome Powell to lower the interest rates and whatnot. And then you could have some serious speculation. And with prices being high, especially real estate, because real estate can never go down, right? What happened in 2006, 7, and 8? What happened in Japan? What happened in farming land? Real estate can go down. If it's financed by debt, it can certainly go down. Anyway, love your thoughts. Usually these kind of videos don't get many views, so if you comment, you'll be helping me out. Just anytime we talk like basic economics, people they kind of tune out, but I find it very interesting, and I love this stuff. So, all right, God bless. We'll see you.